story slicing. Now, here's something that, how are we doing on time? We're not doing too badly, actually. Here's another way of sort of looking at the same thing, splitting stories, okay? I talked before about the idea that you could split stories as many times as you wanted to get them to the right level, and that there wasn't really any kind of fixed hierarchy. So I'm now going to slightly disagree with myself in that I'm going to argue that there's a kind of defined level somewhere in here that's called user goal level, C level or blue. Now this is definitely true because it was originally proposed by Alistair Cockburn, one of the Agile manifesteurs, and also extremely smart guy. So in his book, Writing Effective Use Cases, so before BDD was the way to do it, use cases were the way to describe system behavior. So he was talking about use cases, but the same thing still applies. There's a certain level of user story or use case that represents a single user in a single session doing a thing, okay? So in this example, which I think is probably eBay, I've got an epic called sell stuff. So as a consumer, I want to sell stuff to make money. Now, if I split that down into functions that I might do on an auction website, then registering is one thing I've got to do. And once I'm registered, in theory, I could walk away, okay? I'm done for the day. And I could come back another time and list an item. It doesn't make sense to partially list an item, although you can save for later, admittedly. But listing an item is kind of an atomic business transaction, if you like, a thing I would do in one session. And then likewise, later I might come back and check my item status. It's a one thing I would do in one session. So Cockburn talks about those goals as being at C level or blue level or user goal level, okay? Anything above that is summary level, so it's a grouping of user level goals. And anything below that he calls sub-function level, which sounds ever so old-fashioned these days, doesn't it? Sub-functions. I'm programming BASIC using sub-functions. But you can see, like, for example, I split register into enter registration details and submit them. So entering them without submitting them, I'm not done, okay? And likewise, entering my name without entering my address and then submitting, I'm not done. So anything below that he calls sub-function. Now, why does that matter? It does and it doesn't. It sort of comes into play in a minute because I'm going to talk about the different techniques and how some of the techniques apply to stories at a high level and some apply kind of at this level and below. But it's useful, and also it allows me to do what hopefully is an analogy slam dunk, okay? Because what Cockburn says is that you can tell if you've got a user level goal story by using the coffee break test. So the coffee break test says, you know, you're in an office and you do 10 of these or 20 of these things an hour. Once I've done this thing, could I have a coffee break? If you can, then the story is at the user goal level. So the point here with the coffee break test is that if you eat a piece of cake that's just the right size, i.e. user goal level, then you can have coffee and cake. See what I did there? Tumbleweed. I thought that was really good. Come on. Fine. Right.